Please come to order. There's a quorum present. All of our members are present. Our legal notices have been duly posted, and the court is duly called. Is there a motion to close the November term?
Second.
All right. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to open the December term?
Second.
All right. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And the bailiff will open court.
All rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the December 2017 term. The Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, colleagues, to all the members of the audience. Good morning. Our invocator today is Pastor Clarence E. Glover, Jr., and he is going to come forward to the podium. Professor Clarence Glover most recently was with the Dallas Independent School District, served as a special assistant to the General Superintendent for Intercultural Relations and Executive Director of Multicultural Education. Before his 16 years with DISD, Professor Glover worked 15 years for Southern Methodist University as Director of Intercultural Education and Minority Student Affairs, Coordinator of African American Student Services, and was an adjunct professor of African American Studies. Professor Glover, an ordained Christian Methodist Episcopal minister, is the founding pastor of the First African Freedom Church congregation in Dallas and in Browning, Ghana, West Africa. Presently, he is president of Sankofa Education Services, a professional training and consulting agency specializing in culturally relevant strategies to educate African American students. He received his Bachelor's of Arts in History from Grambling State University. He has a Master's of Theological Studies from Perkins School of Theology at Southern Methodist University. He is also a graduate of the Harvard University Graduate School Institute on Moral Education and Human Development. An avid drummer and storyteller, Professor Glover spends much of his time sharing his knowledge of African and African American history and culture with the community. He enjoys retreats to his second home in Dixie, Louisiana, to work on his farm, where they have lived since after slavery. He enjoys landscaping, gardening, fishing, and attending his family church, St. Paul CME Church in Bethlehem, Louisiana, where he preaches the Sankofa Memorial Day services. Pastor, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garcia. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity as we gather this morning. I also brought something for the commissioners very quickly, if the bailiffs can assist me. As I was reading the history and looking at Dallas County, I know that in our history for the commissioners, that there is a piece of history that is often forgotten. This is cotton that I've just recently grown and picked here in Dallas. And as I look at our history of oil and gas and others, I hope that this will remind you of a journey that we have all been on. And also in tradition of my church, while I stand, I do not stand and pray. So I ask that you will allow me in the African American tradition to go to my knees, and that I would be knee bent and body bowed. So this is not a reflection of what you've seen on television, but this is what we have done in the African church for years, so that we be able to invoke the presence of our God. Hallelujah. This morning, our Heavenly Father, Mother God, we come knee-bent and body bowed. We come into this place this morning to invoke your divine holy presence. We come thank you first for the bed that we laid on last night was not our cooling board, and that the sheet that we put up around our bodies while we lied in possession of death was not our winding sheet. We thank you for touching us with the finger of love and allowing the golden threads of our unpredictable lives to roll on a few days longer. And as we come into this place of government, we pray, oh God, that your anointing might fall upon these commissioners this morning, and that they might be mindful of their call to do your will in your world, that they are called to govern your people, to do justice and show mercy. We pray that those who come before them, Lord, might find justice, that they might find those things that they're in need of throughout this county. As they govern the land that you have given them, the sources, the resources, we pray, O God, that they might be mindful of their stewardship and their husbandry to all that is put in their stewardship. We pray now, God, for this city, this county, this nation, our world. We pray, O God, that we might become a greater nation, a greater county, a greater city, and that these who have come together as a family of those who are in Dallas County will seek to make this county a better county. We pray, O God, now that you would be merciful to us and forgive us those things that we have not done and help us to do those things that we must do. We pray for our efforts to become united through race, culture, religions, economic, gender. We pray now that you would bless this effort today and that your word, that these words that we speak here today will fall upon their ears, and that they will remember the oath that they made. So help me, God. And so today we come asking that you would help them to do your will in your world, and to put their faith to feet, and to put these prayers to practice. For it is in your holy name that we pray in the name of the Messiah. We all say,
Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you so much, Mr. I appreciate it. Yes, good.
Our first resolution today is, I have the first three resolutions today. And will the following employees please come forward for Employee of the Month? Michael Laughlin, Laura Edmonds, Chad Hamill, Jeanette Webb, Tamara Scroggins, Lisa Tatum, Paulette Stevens, Iris Medina, Renessica Dunbar, Robert Adams, Phyllis Jones, LaCatricia Merritt, Keith Rose, and Mantra Nelson. All right, and the resolution reads as follows. Dallas County employees are hardworking, dedicated, and play a vital role in achieving the goals and objectives set each year by the Commissioners Court. Most employees perform above expectations and ensure that Dallas County continues to be a regional leader and a destination of choice for residents and businesses. And whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court authorized the creation of an employee recognition program in 2012 to encourage recognition of dedicated employees who represent the best and the brightest of our workforce. And whereas the Dallas County Employee Recognition Program is consistent with the county's approved administrative plan, under which the county seeks to be operationally a model governmental entity. These employees represent the exemplar employee Dallas County hopes to recruit and retain. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby salute the following employees for being selected as Employee of the Month, November and December 2017 for their respective departments, and offers best wishes for continued success at Dallas County, and I so move.
And I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We can't
Thank
do
y'all
it
so
without you.
much.
I have the next resolution.
Yeah, I don't think I do have three. I think there must be a typo on the
That's it.
script. All right, Commissioner Price has the next resolution. You ready? Yeah. Let me come back here.
Lonnie Cole and the delegation come forward, please. Sheriff's Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court is proud of a legacy of outstanding employees that dedicate their professional careers to the safety, the protection, and uplift of the citizens of Dallas County. And whereas Lonnie M. Cole is a native Texan and a Dallasite who was reared and educated in Dallas as well as a product of the Dallas Public Schools and the University of Texas at Arlington. And whereas Lonnie M. Cole began his distinguished career in March of 1985 as a detention service officer and progressed to become a training officer in the same unit, as a result of his ability to lead and positively affect others. And whereas Lonnie M. Cole realized his dream to become a peace officer by completing the Sheriff's Basic Police Science Academy, securing a Texas peace officer license, and being sworn in as a deputy sheriff in the civil, criminal, and juvenile court system as a bailiff in December of 1990. And whereas Detective Lonnie M. Cole has amassed an impressive number and variety of professional handles over his 32 years of stellar service to Dallas County that include but are not limited to TCO certified instructor, chemical, munitions, and defensive tactics instructor, and the Auto Theft Task Force Warrant Fuginet detective. And whereas Detective Lonnie M. Cole has a similar spectacular list of commendations and citations, which include World Cup 94 Soccer Games Intelligence Operation Commendation, Texas ABTPA Steve Davenport Award nominee, Sheriff Lupe Valdez Officer of the Year nominee, and numerous public education events and school awareness and prevention presentation commendations. And whereas Detective Lonnie M. Cole is an avid weightlifter and fitness aficionado who enjoys outreach and evangelism as Christian missionaries alongside his blushing bride and loving wife, Patty. And therefore be it resolved that Dallas County Judge and the Commissioner's Court do hereby, with great admiration and respect, pause to rightfully salute and celebrate 32 years of exemplary service by Detective Lonnie M. Cole, and be it further resolved that the legacy of labor, love, and loyalty that Detective Cole has exhibited toward his God, his wife, his community, is used as a template for others who aspire to lead selfish and satisfied lives. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Good morning.
Thank you, Court. Thank you, Commissioner Price, for taking out your time and use of your resources to recognize one of our very own, Lonnie Cole. But it's 32 years of service, dedicated service, and he has set such high, the bar is so high for us and set great examples for us. So many of us have followed in his footsteps, and we are really going to miss him. You know, he has done things that not only has this court recognized him for through his 32-year career, other state and federal agencies are also recognizing, but I know that this is what's most important for him, that he's recognized by this great body, this Commissioner's Court here, and I appreciate that. It is an honor, Cole. It is an honor to stand here with you and your wife, Patsy, as you are recognized for your great works. And Patsy, I understand that once he retires, you're going to have a full-time job again, so, working with him. So we wish you the very best, and I want to thank the court again.
Detective Cole, a real aficionado.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank the Commissioner's Court and thank the citizens of Dallas County. It's been an honor and a privilege to have served, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work for Dallas County. Thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate, we really appreciate your service. And when you begin to look and trying to peel about what we could basically take and chronicle in a resolution, I want you to understand that was a real task. Captain Bask and he brought in, they sent me all this information. I said, I'm not trying to write a book, just a resolution, But I guess that's what happens, they talk about a long life's not good enough, but a good life is long enough, and that's where you are. Good life doesn't have to be long enough, but a long life is good enough. And you've done that. And we're very privileged here at Dallas County. Your colleagues think the world of you. We think the world of you. And the citizens of Dallas County, through us, we're just saying thank you for 32 years. And you too, Ms. Patsy. I love a sister who, you're wearing them glasses. I want you to understand that tells me a lot about you. So go ahead on and work it. But Detective Cole, thank you again, and thank you, and Ms. Cole, thank the family for the sacrifice, because we know that when we talk about individuals who have given, that much time, the family has sacrificed, and so thank you.
A team effort.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You look so young. You look so young.
We've been here for a minute.
And Commissioner Garcia is our final.
Yes, thank you, Judge, colleagues, members of the audience. This is a resolution that is going to be presented. I'm not going to read it today. It's going to be presented at an event, this coming week. It's pretty much a 25-year anniversary of a company in Commissioner's Cantrell District, and I just move for approval.
Second. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And also, in the future, when any questions, purchasing can call me, I can help. Thank you.
Two things. Point of privilege. I see that Pastor Dr. Glover passed out a cotton ball. I wanted y'all to see what a bale looks like. And,
That's the world's smallest bale right there.
it doesn't matter. Symbolically, if you ain't pulled none, you don't know nothing about it. This has been in, Dr. Glover, I want you to know, this has been in my office probably since I've been here. In a little place called Forney, they took, and we got out of school. Not Louisiana, not Alabama, not Mississippi, Forney. And I had the occasion this week to eulogize my second grade teacher. And the family asked me to do it. And I talked about how just a few years ago that they had desegregated school systems where we got out and just went back to school this time of the year after we had pulled and chopped the cotton. But like I said, not in the South, but in Forney. So this is in my office all the time as a reminder. So I appreciate the cotton ball. I don't want to raise no more cotton, but and don't want to pick no more. It is a reminder. Thank you. Thank you for symbolism in terms of what's going on. I want to say to the Sheriff's Department, for the record, with the Jail Commission did their annual report on last week, they did their inspection on Friday morning. We did our exit interview, and given that, they basically said for the 9th year, the 7th largest jail in this country, the 2nd largest jail in this state, that we were in compliance. They were ecstatic. They said it was one of the best reviews that they had had. And so I just want to say thank you. That doesn't happen just because they show up every year. It happens day in and day out, and I want to thank all of our departments. Facilities is on the ground, IT is on the ground, purchasing is on the ground, personnel is on the ground, IT is on the ground. We're on the ground because this just doesn't happen. We manage it. and we manage it to completion so that it happens. And so they were ecstatic. Their commentary speaks for itself, and I was glad to represent the court along with Chief Herrera and the others as we got our 9th jail inspection. So commendations to all of you, and thank you very much. That is no small undertaking. It's day in, day out. And when you look at that, even Parker, 300-bed, medium-sized hospital that has not impacted their JCO number, Joint Commission, and it's made all the difference in the world. And so we have become a model where people send the same unit just 9 years ago, put us under a court order and a memorandum of understanding. They now refer people to Dallas County to see how Dallas County does it. And so I just want to say to you, thank you for the citizens of Dallas County. Even though it costs us $11.5 million every month, you save us money by being in compliance. And so at the end of the day.
And Commissioner, just to, we went to Washington, D.C. to meet with the Justice Department. And when we got under that order, and Commissioner Price stepped forward and basically managed from the county side of it with the Sheriff's Department, managed on behalf of the county, and there were a lot of things going on back then, especially in healthcare and different things like that, and if Commissioner Price hadn't stepped up and done what he did, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So I want to say thank you on behalf of the court for all the time and effort that you've put into it, but he also managed the $198 million approximately that we put in as a county into the jail in order to make that happen. So thank you on behalf of the court.
And I just want to add, I think, it's probably the time of the kudos, but they're really well deserved. Not only Commissioner Price's leadership, but Commissioner Cantrell as well. With the Criminal Justice Advisory Board, because like Commissioner Price just mentioned, it's a team effort. And when facilities and all the departments that he mentioned, Mr. Martin's staff has been instrumental, the reality is to make the jail efficient. He also managed the jail population, and criminal justice that we're going to vote today on a different structure is in the forefront. And like Commissioner said, the jail is already a model. We hope that the criminal justice system that we have in Dallas County in a few years will also be a model, because when we have efficiency at every single level of government, I know it sounds like a panacea, but at the end of the day, it's what really matters to Dallas County's taxpayers and citizens of Dallas.
And while we want to be known, we really don't want to be known for custody as some kind of model, but one of the things that the jail commission and regulatory bodies say, that you will treat people with basic, respect. And I want to thank my colleague, Commissioner Daniels. I took a few months vacation, and she bridged it while I was gone, and that's what happens, as my colleagues say, when we all work in concert with one another. It just doesn't happen. Somebody has to, day to day, make sure that we understand, because even though we just did our annual inspection, nothing says they can't pop back up. They can come back anytime they want to. And so thank you all for that, and I just want to commend you.
Wanted to put one last little postscript on that too. The report is just 3 pages that they leave with. And what it does, though, is exemplify just incredible teamwork that's required from from the leadership of the jail. Also, just the 2,000 officers who are there, who are helping out and making sure that it works and works well. And then all across the county, as already has been mentioned, just the teamwork that it takes. Very short report, and maybe that's the good news too, that the worst they could find was the covers on the electrical outlets. Then you know that things are being watched very, very well. So thank you, and thank you for the leadership.
Yeah, when you have 300 repairs a day at the jail. I know that facilities most of the time takes care of just for wearing out every single day. You know that it's an operation to follow.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last thing, and speaking of Dr. Glover, he had joined us probably for the last 27 years. Kwanzaa Fest is this weekend, December 9th and 10th, at the Automobile Building, Fair Park. As I always say, in the 6 designated zip codes according to the Center for Disease Control, with all the chronic illnesses in this community, we're right in the middle of one. And Dr. Glover always does basically libations. He talks about drummers. We always open the festival and the admonition of our ancestors and understanding that. But we basically, and this year, we generated the flyers for mammograms and all in Spanish as well as in English. But we're expecting anywhere from 45 to 50,000 people, because this has become their annual, their medical home because of all of the screenings that go on at Kwanzaa Fest. So our doors open at 10 o'clock on Saturday, and we'll go until 7 o'clock Saturday night, and then we'll open again on Sunday at 12 noon, and we'll go again until 6 on Sunday afternoon. It is free to the public. There's a $10,000 sing-off showdown. I will not be singing for various reasons, but then there's also other prizes and all. This is a time of year when, if nothing else, we've been given our health, but we're a guardian of it, and we need to get ourselves checked out. And so we invite you to come out to the festival.
Sure.
So, thank you.
And one last little tiny note, too, that as long as we're giving congratulations, I don't know if you were aware that this week that Parkland Hospital was honored with the 2017 HIMSS Davies Award of Excellence. And we all know that Parkland provides health care. Part of their ability to do that is expanding their use of technology, because it is a key component in being able to deliver safe, high-quality care to patients throughout Dallas County. So we're a partner with Parkland. We'll continue to do that, and just I'm very proud that they are upholding their end of the contract by providing the very best service they can any way they can. On the way.
Okay.
Right, and
But there's nothing, I talked to Ms. Thompson in regard to West Nile, Zika, or flu updates. They will be at Kwanzaa Fest giving flu shots, as they do every day. And we're going to invite the public, given what the hospital have said, that seems to be an uptick in flu. And so I invite you to get your flu shot, and for those of us who have a phobia, the spray won't work. So,
Come on, Commissioner Price. Don't say anything about the needles. They're shorter. They're almost painless now. You can use them.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and washing.
No.
Okay.
You know, you will hurt more sewing anything than with the flu shot. Did I say that right?
These doctors
Okay.
would like to give
Okay.
With that being said, come to Kwanzaa Fest.
Yeah, thank you.
And on the issue for our staff, for y'all to tell your churches, your friends, because I know you all have health insurance, December 15th is the deadline to sign up for the Affordable Care Act. And because of a glitch in the system this year where the president didn't pay the cost-sharing payments to the insurance companies, there are tens of thousands of people here in Dallas County who can get a bronze plan this year completely free. I mean, you just sign up and your payment is zero. And there are thousands more who will get that plan for less than their tax penalty. And then for 8 out of 10 of our county residents, they'll be able to get coverage for under 75 dollars a month. So regardless of whatever you feel about the politics of healthcare and Obamacare, it's good for your neighbors. It's certainly good for our bottom line at Parkland, for everybody that can afford insurance to have insurance. So please get that message out. The deadline is half as long this year as it was last year. Last year, the sign-up period was 90 days, so it ran all the way to the end of January. This year, it will end before our next Commissioners Court meeting. It will end on the 15th of December. And although we've seen more people sign up for health insurance this year each day than did last year, we hadn't seen nearly as many as twice as many as last year, and the little period is half as long. So very important that we get that information out. To our media partner, Sean, very important that we get that information out. We don't want anybody to be busy with Christmas and then look up and realize they missed their opportunity for their family to have insurance for a year. All right?
We'll have navigators there's a presence at Kwanzaa Fest with regards to navigators to help you with that as well. And I know the Kirkwood CME Church is along with the City Temple Seventh-day Adventist Church. They'll be there on Sunday.
And there's 20 permanent locations too, and those are available on the county website. We can get all that information to folks. My little jingle this year is "You won't know until you go." You might get that free insurance or that really affordable insurance, but you won't know until you go to healthcare.gov. The navigators are there for those who don't want to go, and sitting in the bathrobe watching a ball game and hook themselves up with insurance. You can sit across the desk from someone who can do that with you at Kwanzaa Fest or one of these locations. And for those who like the old school, talk to somebody on the phone or talk to somebody on the phone while they do the computer, we've got that too. There's an 800 number for that. Sorry, I didn't know I still had the noise on this. So please don't delay. Let folks know about that. Anybody's kids maybe who have aged out of being on your insurance, but don't have any. All right, Commissioner Price.
Under judicial management, I think the court is aware, or if the court is not aware, we have a PIA, I think, from the ACLU with regards to a lot of information regarding what we're doing in judicial, in our courts, again, back to the jail. We don't look at that as being bad. I just wanted you to be aware of it. I know that, and I don't know if Ms. Randolph is here, but yeah, there you go. That I did see all the email. I see Mr. Steele, all of them here. They've asked for information, and we don't have any problems with that. Some of us have even met with some of those individuals. They've asked nothing that they can't get in the public domain anyway. And so a lot of our information, we're very proud. Again, back to custody. They have talked about how we and our information have vetted it in such a way it makes it easier to navigate and to figure out what's going on in our system. So I want to thank Judicial Management Pretrial and the Criminal Justice Division for that. Cite and release, it says what it says. I'm going to try to refrain from even commenting about that. PR bonds, I do want, and I'm going to generate this to all of my colleagues. I'm back to this whole PR bond piece, and again, I'm trying to share this even with the people who have asked for it under the open records. From October the 15th to October the 17th, most bonds are posted as appearance bonds, but they're come under some appeal bonds, writ bonds. The number of felony bonds in a 2-year period, felony bond, appearance bond, was 168,000. And the reason I want to go there is because as we go and keep talking about PR bonds and pretrial, 168,000 bonds, somebody else is responsible for it. Now, I have asked, I generated to both Detective Jones as well as to Ms. Petrie and to Mr. Warren. I want to know, what were we paid in bond forfeitures? How much money did we collect? Because these people, I understand, I know the millions of dollars. I'm going there. And I'm going to keep it on that because we keep talking about bond. What happens when people don't show up, other than the sheriff's department winds up getting them back into their canister, and then we go looking for them? There's no incentive. If they don't show up on surety bond, posted bonds, they got to go get them. If it's 10,000, whatever it is, they posted 168,000 felony bonds. Misdemeanor bonds in that same time period, October 2015 to 17, 404,000 bonds posted. Attorney bonds, regardless of types, was only 3,000 bonds. All PR bonds, regardless, 6,700 bonds in a 2-year period. All cash bonds, regardless of types, 11,457 bonds. Those are cash bonds. All pretrial release bonds, 3,275 bonds. Bonds, felony appearance bonds was 20,590, and then of course bond misdemeanor. I'm going to share this with all of my colleagues. We got 70-something pages of all of these bonds we're vetting. But what I want us to understand as we continue to talk about going forward with all of this PR, we can let everybody over there out. And if they don't appear, nothing happens. They have no skin in the game. Nobody goes after them. We put them back into our warrant files. And right now, how many warrants do y'all have over there that we have not, that are just in our queue? I guess what I'm saying to us, I want us to be real careful as we move forward. I understand what's going on in Harris County. I've looked at some other models, but we need to get all of the data, Mr. Martin, with regards to where we're going. Because I'm just telling you, on forfeitures alone, we're talking tens of millions of dollars. Am I correct?
Correct.
Uncollected.
No.
Unassessed.
Unassessed. Unassessed and collected.
And what's the reason for that?
Well, we let them go.
Well, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
No, I'm clear. But
So the spotlight's going to be shining on a certain group of individuals.
I got it. Okay. But my point is, I want us to continue to be clear about this whole thing of PR bonds and where we're going. Because there are only, I think, according to and I'm on the bail bond board, there's 34 bonding companies. 34 bonding companies in Dallas County. And every time somebody does not appear, where it's misdemeanor or felony, they are responsible. And we're collecting money. Now, how much did we collect on bond forfeitures with regards to it? I'm talking about what they haven't assessed. I'm talking about what did we collect on bond forfeitures based on these individuals.
And we have
Not
some
going to
of
be very
those.
much at all.
What did you say, Mr. Auditor?
We were looking at each other without looking it up. It's between $500,000 and $750,000.
Right.
It's not very much.
That's my point.
And there's reasons for that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because, judges are supposed to be independent. That's a whole nother story. And I'm
But that's where you're going.
No.
That's exactly where I'm going.
And we do collect some of those monies because in CJAP we have some of those numbers. Now, I don't think that we have them analyzed to the detail that you want them, but I can definitely look into that.
Yeah, but I mean, they answered, both the auditor, Mr. Thomas, and the budget director. I mean, we're collecting $500,000. I mean, that's it. I mean, and so, I mean, that's what we're collecting.
Right, and we try in the past, but it's, Mr. Brown, I'm going to let you go on this one.
Well, there was, and what you were remembering, Commissioner, was that we did do some changes in the Civil District Attorney's Office to increase our ability to collect on those bond forfeitures where the judiciary was actually assessing or not letting them off the, letting them off the bond. The real issue is how many of these where the people do not appear, but the judge never assesses the bonding company the fee and just releases them from that bond.
That's right.
And so there's really two pieces. There's one to try to collect on them. Those we do have a process in place. And the other one is a purely judicial activity of deciding whether or not they want to hold that bonding company accountable for that first category.
Well, and that's what they're supposed to do, though. That's what they're
It's
supposed to.
their
Otherwise,
responsibility, and that's the way the system was designed, and that's why they should be held accountable, but they're not.
well, I just want us to have all of the facts as we continue to talk about going down this road.
And that's even with a lot of built-in protections through the statutes
Right.
from the legislature. It's a tremendous process to get through that, to be able to collect. So, but you have to have the judge's participation.
And we have more participation than we had before. With that being said,
What we do?
so
We
like,
do, and of course, as we go to a risk-assessed bond, it could change again, because there are going to be bonds that today are going to the bonding companies that will now be a PR bond released because the risk assessment says that it's low risk. But that does require us to have another piece where we're actually then having to figure out how to make sure these people appear in court. And so that is Mr. Steele's challenge, and he will have fun doing so.
and he's ready for the challenge, right, Mr. Steele?
Well, it
He's
sounds
been
like
there
the
before.
Judiciary may not be ready for the
Yeah,
challenge.
but yeah, I'm not worried about Mr. Steele. I'm worried about the judiciary who comes over here every week and posts up and profiles. I'm worried about them. They're the ones who have not stepped up. And I think, as everybody's jumping up to run for office and all of this, we need to say that. We don't have an independent judiciary, first of all, and that they look out for the citizens of Dallas County. They talk about it, they proffer it from a position of, public safety and all, but at the end of the day, they're not driving the bottom line. I think I've said that to another judge this morning on another issue. They keep talking about they want to be legislators. I don't need to be legislators. I just need them to operate within the confines that the legislature says they can. And all we're doing is we're just continuing to cycle and recycle. So we've got to say it. If we don't say it, it's not going to get said. And so I don't care what we're talking to ACLU, or we're talking, I'm going to go back to that management of that. It's interesting, Tarrant County has a central appointment system. All our judges got to do is say they're going to do it. That's all it takes.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, and as I said, nobody wants to talk about the bear in the room.
Something that we can make that kind of assessment.
Well, you have to measure it, as you always say. You have to measure it. So in the judicial management report, is there a way that a metrics that you can affix that shows the amount that should have been assessed, the amount that was not assessed, the amount that was collected, the amount that was reimbursed? In other words, there's got to be some metrics that you can do that can hold a particular court accountable on what they're doing with regards to bonds.
I'll have to look at
Bond
the
forfeitures.
databases for the district court offices to see how that would be captured. It's not something we've done in the past, so it'd be new, but I certainly would like to see how
It would go a long ways to what Commissioner Price is trying to get to.
Yeah.
But don't
Because
we
they'll
know
be
how many
running on
bonds
that.
were,
Then, yeah.
We do. I just don't know how much of those bonds are where there's no appearance, is it being waived or is it being assessed? I think the data's there, and so it should be able to be
The
captured.
data is there.
Well, I think, without,
Well, the data is there, but can we get it? Because that was the big issue that we have when we started this with CJA. It's categorized in different ways, in different offices, with the clerk, with the sheriff. So that was part of our big challenge last time. We still getting the data, but I don't know that it's exactly the data Commissioner Price is
it's a
looking
different,
at.
it's a different
So
place.
can we?
I'll have to go back and look at what the data is and where it's captured and whether or not there is a way to actually make it usable versus what we're trying to do here. Obviously, it's usable to the judiciary because they're given a report that shows who's been on bond, who's not appeared, and
Correct.
they can make the determination.
we sit here and we get access to all this. We talk about this data as though it's outside of management for the bottom line.
It is public information. We can get it for that purpose. Whether or not it's in a format that's usable will be the question.
Correct.
Well-
Remember when the Dallas Morning News came and said that we were $13 million losing money, and the reality is we were not even close to that. What happened is the data was analyzed in different categories, and that was the total number. The reality is when we unified that data, it came out to be less than $3 million. So that's what we need to see, and that's what the Bail Bond Task Force was created, and I chair it. And that's what Commissioner Price, I'm telling you, the data is there. The fact is that the data can be managed in different ways, and I don't know that we can get it to the detail that you want. But hey, let's go ahead and look what has happened since then. I will be more than happy to chair the committee again and see what we can do to mainstream it, because the data can also be seen in different ways.
Well, let's just get to the bottom line.
Okay.
Judges waive fines and court costs daily. And they even order people to refund money that have already been paid.
That, of course, is a separate
You
issue.
heard me right.
That, of course, is a separate issue because if you do look at the data and go back to about 2007 to what it is today, the amount of money being collected primarily in the misdemeanor courts, which used to be a revenue-producing courts, are now a cost courts. In other words, they used to have revenue per disposition because of the fines, and now they're a cost per disposition because the judiciary has lowered the amount of the fines that they are assessing individuals. Remember, the number one type of case that's in a municipal or in misdemeanor courts is a DWI, which typically those individuals do have the wherewithal to pay for their fines and court costs, but those are being waived on a regular basis.
They're being waived.
Have been for approximately 10 years.
But see, we're not talking, Ryan. What bothers me is until nobody's talking about it. How can they make people set up payment plan when they're waiving court, when they're waiving everything? I mean,
It's a philosophical difference. And you and I spoke to the judges back when the waive took place, and they said they were going to change philosophically how they ran those courts over there. We had that argument over who should support our jails and our criminal justice system. And before, the philosophy was that we have to set up this big system, and the people that are arrested and put into the system should help contribute to that and not lay the whole burden on the taxpayer. But when that switch took place, that philosophy was, we're not here to make money for the county, and so we're going to change what took place. And they did do that, and they have done that.
It's a social viewpoint of what is the penalty for committing the crime. Is being in jail for 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days a penalty enough, or should you on top of that have a financial penalty? And I think that part of the problem is we don't today do a great job of determining a financial wherewithal of the individual who's in the court. Hopefully, once we implement the new agency screening process, we will have a better information for the judiciary to have that in front of them to make those determinations. Because obviously somebody who has no money,
That's fine.
assessing the fine doesn't do you any good, or it can be harmful in their ability to actually be able to pay for food, rent, and things that are gonna harm their
Got
kids. But yet somebody else may, that just the fact that they were arrested and spent 12 hours in jail and then were released and now had to pay for this attorney, they have the ability to, pay for that penalty and fine, and that may change the behavior versus just the jail time. But it's a philosophical, social viewpoint.
But it's not philosophical when people have paid fine and have paid court costs
Absolutely. And then you
and
refund.
it's refunded.
I wouldn't worry that.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a common occurrence now?
Well, more than you know, and I guarantee you, I can get you some data on it.
What's the basis for that? I mean,
Well, you just said,
okay.
their philosophy.
So with all,
There is no basis. See, the problem is, if the courts, I agree. In fact, the law says we're not supposed to make money. I got that. But we ought to at least be able to break even.
Well, do you have the taxpayers pay for the criminal justice system, or also the users at least pay some of it,
That's
or the taxpayer pay all of it? Doesn't make sense.
so through all this discussion, is part of the judicial review going to include this piece of the system?
It's really three different pieces. I think
At
that
all.
we probably need to, through CJAP, go back and take a look at what our efforts are on the collection side of bond forfeitures. I think we haven't done an update in a while, and it's
Commissioner,
probably.
you know that's gonna be like
The
special.
second piece is to see, as we are rolling out these changes in the way we are going to do pretrial release and bond setting and those activities, how that information can be provided to the judiciary in a manner to educate them to be able to hopefully make better decisions on both sides of that piece. And then lastly is I'm going to take a look at the overall data and see whether or not through the management report piece, I can roll in that bond setting / waiving. I already have in there the fines and fee waive stuff, because you can see that right off the bat.
Right.
Because I include revenues in that regard, but I've never included anything in regard to bond forfeitures. So I see whether or not I can piece that apart and get that built into a per court activity, because you need to do it by court, because different behaviors are evident in the judiciary based on the different judges.
Yeah.
Well-
So we look forward to seeing what comes out of that.
This has been a great discussion.
Well, it'd be interesting also
I know what you're saying, nothing we can do, huh?
if you could.
Oh, no.
But if you discuss it, there are things that you start chipping away at the edges.
Exactly,
You
and-
do make change.
Exactly.
We will look into it, Commissioner Press, see what we can do, but I mean, with the understanding that, the judiciary discretion is gonna be hard to.
Well, as I said, it's election time, and they want to continue to play and act like, they're running concierge services, concierge courts, diversion, no best practices, none of that. You want to play all of those games. Let's talk about the fundamental operation of what goes on. Because I'm telling y'all, apparently, we've had a couple of good years in Dallas County, and we might have another one or so, but let me just tell you, you better watch that pendulum. And when you look overall, and I know Rick publishes this for us every time, where we were as a county 20 years ago, 30 years ago, look where we are now, look where we are on the national average, look where we are in terms of median incomes. We're not going that way. We're going south. Kind of like the water, it flows that way. It doesn't flow north, unfortunately. So I'm just saying we've got to continue to say that if in fact we're the managers of the bottom line. I know they have some jurisdiction that we don't, but we at least need to call it to the public's attention.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I've talked enough about the juvenile report. I'm just saying that, the board, which I serve, is derelict in their duties there, and I'm going to continue to say that with regards to how we carry the custody. We keep talking about custody and what the sheriff is doing. The Texas Juvenile Justice Division, they come through. They don't rate us the same as they once did, but regardless of what they do, those kids are our kids. Tell you what bothers me again about this whole juvenile report. If you look at the number of young people that have been involved in what I'm calling heinous crimes in the last several years, and you trace them back, and I've got a report, and I'll share it with the court, with regards to those individuals who are either supposed to be on probation, who just rolled off of probation. I contend that we have not utilized the right risk assessment tool psychologically in dealing with those kids. And it's interesting, the number of murders, every one of them either just came off or on probation. We're responsible for that. Go to your consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll consider the bid. Is there a motion on the bid?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, this takes us to
Subdivision regulation.
subdivision. Well,
Yeah, subdivision regulation.
yeah. Hang on one second.
You've got to be fast.
Here we are. All right, this takes us to our subdivision regulation. Our agenda calls for a public hearing on subdivision regulation update. Is there a motion to open that hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. All right. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If there are any particular questions as it relates to the subdivision regulations, I'm available to answer those.
Mr. Grace,
You
Judge.
need to lay out like 2 or 3 paragraphs because we're going to have a public hearing.
Right.
Just real briefly.
Okay?
But Judge, we did it the last time. You the one had an amendment and.
Oh, did we have a public hearing last time?
Yes, we did.
Yes, because you asked if we proceed
Okay.
with public hearing.
I've got it on the script here for a public hearing, so we don't need it.
says,
Yes, we're going to have another.
Give us a paragraph. Just give us, just say anything. Just give us like a couple paragraphs.
Okay, some of the proposed changes from the existing subdivision regulations to the new ones include a requirement for a master plan for large phased developments, an 8-foot minimum side yard setback line, cash in lieu of bonds, and the septic system lot size requirements are noted in the regulations as previously they were just referenced.
All right.
The only issue, the issue was, Judge, you wanted to amend,
No, actually, that was looking at the,
Wanted to
and the
review.
DA's office is looking at that. What I want to do with the subdivision is I wanted to get that out to some folks in affordable housing and housing justice, and they looked at that and said it looked like great work on your part, Michael, and the whole team's part, and I want to commend you for that great work. So I don't have any
Okay.
concerns with
That was the
it.
only issue.
The concern that I would like for us to watch going forward is as housing becomes more and more unaffordable in our cities, we don't want bad development in the unincorporated areas, but at the same time, that's an opportunity for a place where we need no more regulation than is absolutely necessary so that people of limited means working their way into our middle class can find affordable housing.
But this, Judge,
yeah.
we get what you're trying to say, Judge, but it's not what this is about. This is about going ahead and making the partnerships and the regulations that we need for quality housing. And after that, affordable housing obviously is a piece that is always welcome and will always be welcomed by all of us. But nevertheless, right now we're basically putting the infrastructure on the ground for having those agreements with the different cities so we can move in that way, so we don't have completely unregulated. So I'm glad that you
And
pass it to some of the people that do these affordable housing job
And
work.
their comments back were that we want no more regulation than is necessary to ensure that we have quality construction, but that there's an opportunity for affordable housing. And I think that's particularly important. You know, right now we're seeing our median home price in Dallas County over $264,000. In order for a family to be able to afford that, they need to make about $59,000 a year. But our median family income in Dallas County is $52,000 a year. So not that we want substandard housing by any stretch, but we need that opportunity to get affordable housing for people and not see this be all houses at $290,000 and above.
But wait a minute. We're talking about basically in the unincorporated area. They're either building in MUDs.
There you go.
Yeah, they're building in MUD district. We ain't seeing those kind. You may see a house pop up out there, but you're not seeing those kind of houses and averages in our district. Not in mine. And then number two, you're talking about basically floodplain. So
I think what you're saying is that, like Bear Creek, for instance, is affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable, and
We want to keep making sure that happens.
right, and we do. But again, it's a MUD, and as a result, it's a municipal utility district, and as a result, there are some other challenges that we have no control over whatsoever. Now that's a whole different
stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's make sure they have water, electricity, safe roads, ways that they can get emergency services. That's what this is addressing, right?
Other than emergency service, that water, that's what does not come through us, and we have nothing to say about it. We've had enough hearings out there, Judge Roden and all of us, along with staff. We have that's one of their number one complaints. But we can have all the subdivision regulations in the world, won't impact that. That's my point. I want us to understand what we're dealing with when we talk about subdivision regulations. Because like I said, they're not building in floodplains. You know, nobody's going out there and building a $100,000 house in the floodplain. They may put one up over the weekend. And I mean that. I mean, you go out there and they'll put one up over the weekend. It ain't a $100,000 house, but they'll stick something up. This is about us being able to regulate and manage. Am I correct?
Right.
What's going on out there?
Right. This specifically applies to the subdivision of property.
Right.
And the regulations that are triggered by that.
That we have never been able to have in the history of Dallas County. So this is something that I'm very proud that we are working on, because it will give us, some of the, I don't want to say authority, but that's exactly what we are.
This doesn't expand our authority.
No, and that's what I did not want to.
We have had subdivision regulations in the unincorporated. This is working to update and revise those to be
Correct.
consistent with the current law and
really, it's just
Never had before.
Well, and also, the goal is to get with our cities and start developing ETJ agreements with all of our cities so we can manage these subdivisions as they come up in the future.
I agree. So,
and not end up like Collin County in court over them. Hopefully we can avoid that.
Exactly.
and Judge, so there was no changes. I mean, absolutely none. Mr. Grace, we're ready to go.
Yes, sir.
We need public speakers.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mr. Grace. Great job. Are there any public speakers on the subdivision regulations? Any public speakers on the subdivision regulations? Any public speakers on the subdivision?
Make a motion that we close the public hearing and let the record reflect that this was the same call you did the first public hearing, but that's okay.
And I second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now consider court orders M1 through 55 and addendum 56, pulling 29 and 30 for a separate vote.
And also 26.
And 26.
Sorry, and also 26. I missed that one.
You move. I'll move it.
Judge, can we also hold number 7 until after closed?
Hold on, 7?
Number 7
Okay.
until after closed?
Sure. Let me rephrase that. We've got court orders M1 through 55, addendum 56. We're asking to pull 7, 26, 29, and 30 from this vote. Is there a motion on those items?
So moved.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second.
Discussion?
I have some comments too.
Oh, yes,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Item 4, thank God, and Greyhound. Where's the city of Dallas?
You said 56. Am I missing 56?
Didn't see one of
I don't see a 56.
It's 55 only.
Right. So it's 1 through.
55.
55 is the last
55, right.
Just
Can you
making sure.
correct
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
1 to 55.
Yeah.
Pulling 26, 29,
You
and 30.
walking up here by yourself? Where's the city of Dallas? Okay, city of Dallas. Did y'all bring the check? Come on down.
Hey, they're financing it for us, so
I
hey,
got
hey.
it, I got it.
This is Bill Fisk, the CIO,
And
and
it's a
Mike
no-interest
Frost, the
loan.
procurement director for the city of Dallas.
Okay,
Good
well,
morning.
thank you for being here. You know, this has been a journey. We went back and pulled, I wrote a letter to the city of Dallas in 2008.
And I got it.
You got it in 2008, you did? I just want to say thank you. It looks like we've gotten all the particulars. I guess one of the concerns I'm still having is that for the auditor's office, for our auditors and I, maybe you guys have a better, I want to thank Judge Roden. Y'all sent over a 700-page contract. And
It was 1 page per year.
1 page, well, per month. But anyway, we plowed through that. I have one concern, and I didn't get a chance to ask you either, Mr. Weathersby. Want to make sure that in the financing model, or as we go forward, is this contract designed in such a manner that when you make your submission to the auditor's office, we're going to be able to peel this onion? Because everything I saw was, as the kids used to say, bunched together. And I'm concerned about it going forward. In other words, we got a discount, okay? And so the record be real clear, our discount is $9 million, you know. So I want to make sure that we're able to delineate that and peel it back as we make the submission to the auditor's office. Do you have a comfort level that is encouraged?
Both the city and I both have the same concern that we need to ensure that as we go forward and start trying to price and order this equipment, that we get that discount and can quantify that discount to make sure it's there and we can prove it. Right now, it's a great big number, and we've asked for that data. The city has the same concern that I do. And, that's a lot of data to sift through, but we have to make sure that we can peel that onion, make sure we're getting what they propose to us in that discount.
Okay.
I want to rest assured that Dallas will not authorize a single penny from the city of Dallas until we are confident that we have the documentation to support any of our billings. So we feel confident that the contract language provides specific information that will protect the city and the county. So before we spend a dollar of any taxpayer dollars, that we would be sure that we have the documentation necessary to support that.
Well, you know, this couldn't have come any closer. I know that Sheriff's Department and I, they've been using baling wire. I always thought we only use that for hay in the country. We've been using it to keep our communication system together. And when I say baling wire and bubble gum, I mean baling wire and bubble gum. And now we've got to get this system, we've got to get this in place, okay? So, thank you with regards to that.
Yeah, I commend y'all how you structured this.
Yeah.
And how the county's fitting into what the city's doing.
Yeah.
I think we would not be able to do this at near as good a system had we not partnered with the city of Dallas. Had we do this on our own, it would have cost us a lot more money.
Absolutely.
And let me ask you, looking forward into the system, it says that it's going to be for 15 years timeline. Do you feel confident that they will last that long?
Yeah, the vendor's on the hook for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because the one we have now is going into its 50th year, right?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a gold anniversary, but 15 years in today's technology, I just want to be sure, for the record, we are committed for more than $22,000.
The radios
in
will
maintenance.
last, we expect the radios themselves to last 10 years, but the infrastructure itself will get us to 15 years. And there's agreement in the contract.
Yeah.
that
No, I
every
know.
5 years, when things are PC-based, that the vendor will upgrade that. That's
So
that's
it's
the thing
included
that
in the
always,
Cycling through of the product.
you have to worry about is
But
the
it's
servers
included in the
and
cost that we
Yes.
are agreeing,
Yes,
correct? That's what
it
I got.
is, absolutely.
Okay, and you feel confident that those 15 years with those improvements or upgrades, however you call them, will be included in the price that we are signing up
It
today?
is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
it
sounds
is.
good.
You have the
Just wanted to be sure.
documentation coming
They
related to
charge
the
me for that
discount.
every single time I do it at the dental office.
That's what you had just said?
We're
Right.
still waiting on that. And there's a lot of data. We're having to sift through that and to make sure we're going to be.
Well, I'm like Commissioner Cantrell, and I really appreciate the financing model. I know there was a lot of wrangling back and forth, but anytime you get down to 2.333, then you've done a fine job, so.
So when do you
Mr.
expect the
It's good to see you,
documentation?
Mr. Stephanie.
Well, we've got
Well,
it.
I thought that's what was said, is the documentation is coming related to.
We have to just make sure as we go forward that Motorola gives us that documentation. We were behind the eight ball to get this done by the middle of the month, and I think Motorola is still working on that. They're here in the court with us today.
Where's Motorola?
Where are they?
They're in the
Yeah.
back here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, y'all trying to escape. Come on up.
So you,
Yeah.
so you
Not to throw 'em
expect
under the
that though
bus. You
did throw 'em under the
within
bus.
I did.
a week or 2 weeks or? Okay, we will let them answer that question. Thank you.
For the record, Motorola's here, and who are they? Are you in a position to speak?
Hello. Hi, my name's Scott Lees. I'm the Vice President with Motorola. I manage our Western region.
Okay.
Welcome. We were just asking the question of additional documentation of the timing related to the financial and the discount part of that. You expect that to be delivered when?
So I believe we've delivered all of our line item pricing last week, so that includes that long-term discount and the discount that's associated with getting this done this year.
Commissioner, the issue was, as I said, Judge Rowan, we've kind of gone through and tried to pull it out. It's bundled, and it's bundled in a way, and the way we have to do disbursements and get the auditor to approve it, we've got to be able to validate it going forward.
Okay, so that validation will be coming within a week.
If they've provided the pricing, hopefully they can school us on how to decode all that to get where we are and make sure that we're getting back to the $9 million discount
Right.
that was proposed.
So then you will let us know when you have that verification, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with that, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much
you.
to the
Thank you very
city of
much.
Dallas. Please send our regards to the
Exciting
the
time.
manager.
Thanks for
And
the
we're
teamwork.
really looking forward to move this.
Yeah.
We really need it in Dallas County.
Can
Appreciate
I
it.
just take a moment and thank Mr. Weathersby? I mean,
You bet.
particularly over the last, I know he's been working on this for 8 years, but the last couple of weeks, and the late night calls, the weekend calls, and he's just worked very hard on this project.
And some Saturday
And some weekend-
calls. Where are you? Yeah, I'm at home. Where do you live? In Mesquite. I'm at the office. I need to see you.
So,
And he comes.
and he comes.
Hey.
Well,
We're only halfway through the journey now. We have the other half.
That's right.
correct.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And to Motorola, please. We don't want no glitches.
They can afford it. They
I
can
know.
afford it.
Okay, I don't know what I
Okay.
touch here.
Yeah, 7, he said we're going to close, and,
We already, okay. Do you have any other comments, Commissioner
no,
Price?
not regards to anything to talk about.
Okay, I do have a few comments. Item number 3 on the pre-trial is obviously DWI. Mr. Brown, do you feel very confident with the number of people? I know we are starting on this. We have discussed it. Give me, just for the record, where we're going with only 6 rather than what it was recommended.
So this is the beginning of these repeats that you'll see as it relates to whatever the final number will be. I feel comfortable with the drug alcohol piece now that people will be adequate to be able to meet the judiciary's needs We will continue to.
Can you use the mic, Mr.?
We will continue to increase the staffing as it relates to the people doing the risk assessments and ultimately the financial evaluations as we determine what risk assessment tool will be utilized and what financial instrument will be utilized. Now, until you know what those are, you don't know how long it's going to take to interact with the inmate to get that type of information. But ultimately, there will be additional staff that will be forthcoming. But this will put us on a better footing as we move forward into the transition.
Great, because I mean, my concern when I read the court order was the amount of cases is still big per employee. So I just want to be sure that it's clear in the record that it's a first step. Yep. Do not panic. If we need more, we will increase
Absolutely.
it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Agenda item number 25 with HR, I think, I'm totally in support of this item. I know that Mr. Graham has been working really hard to make the hiring and the advertising for positions more customer friendly, employee friendly, and I'm really supporting this effort, Mr. Graham. Thank you so much. And there was agenda item number 44. This contract. Mr. Bazan, can you elaborate a little bit more since facilities got involved into this? Where are we and why is this coming to the way it is?
Dr. Garcia, this is the contract for your food service vendors at Frank Crowley, at George Allen, and also Henry Wade. This is a request for an extension. I guess there are several. They issued a solicitation. There was very little interest in that solicitation.
No, not very little. No interest. No interest.
Yeah, I know.
So we're going to work with purchasing, with budget, to try to better our specifications and get it back out there and bring back hopefully some quality vendors to the court.
Time out. One of the things we did after it was over, and I asked Mr. Price, could I speak after it was closed and we get any participation? We asked them basically why. We just sat here and talked about it. The equipment over there is older than me.
Surprised me, Commissioner Price. Something in Dallas County that is outdated.
Yeah, right. But this is but we're going to have to go in there and going to have to totally revamp those facilities and put in new equipment and do a whole redesign. That equipment, in fact, some of the people who did not participate, who'd been here before, said they spent some dollars, but they just said,
and I don't blame them. The reality is, and I want to thank facilities and Mr. Bazan for this, and Mr. Martin, because obviously the lack of interest, we have one party that was interested, and obviously probably not the best. But definitely, I really hope that once we improve these facilities, we can have a vendor that will have less issues.
Exactly, and we're working with Mr. Price to redo the RFP, but in the meantime, I've talked with Commissioner Price in Public Service about going in and remodeling the dining rooms, particularly George Allen and Frank Crowley. I don't think either one of them have been touched since we moved in, so the equipment has to be replaced and there has to be some work done. So
since I'm in charge of that area facilities, Mr. Bazan, how long will it take us to do this?
That's a really good question, Doctor. We're actually putting together the costs of the equipment upgrades and also project schedules. We hope to have that for the court's consideration by the end of the month.
Good.
Well, I hope you're looking at other alternatives. In other words, you have all these food trucks down there, allowing them to come in maybe one truck where they take their stuff down in there. You don't need equipment.
That's a very good point. We're looking at that, but those guys actually cost too. So we have to look at where we would place them and where we would put them. But in the interim, we're going to actually use that as a possible model to bring them in while we close down some of the cafeterias, because we may have to shut down a cafeteria for 30 days to get it remodeled. So we're going to look at that in the meantime and see what the cost is.
And that's just one alternative. There's probably 100 that we could look at that, based on the volume of people that we get through there, you have to adjust what you're doing to that. I mean, so.
And I agree totally with Commissioner Cantrell. I think that in today's world, the City Hall cafeteria was closed for years because of some of these issues. So it's an area that is getting harder and harder to please, and nevertheless, when you have complaints from food and personnel, I mean, it's time to move in a different direction. So thank you so much. Those were only my comments and concerns about that item. Moving along.
A couple of questions, sorry, on that item.
Okay, sure.
So the current vendor in those two spaces is retiring or uninterested in renewing?
It says retired.
The information that's been given to us, the Frank Crowley vendor is choosing to, I guess, move on.
Okay.
So they have indicated.
So Crowley is somewhat of a problem because there aren't a lot of restaurants right around there. But with Allen, don't we still have a Subway and something on the other side, like right there?
You do have a restaurant and a Subway on the other side, and then all the West End restaurants.
Okay. And how long would they be down for?
And we would try to time this as best as we can, hopefully a period where there's no jurors, so it's not too much of an impact for the George Allen vendor. So they're asking for an extension close to the summertime. So we would expect to have to probably be down for approximately a couple weeks.
Closer.
2 weeks.
Probably a month.
Wait till everything's here, then plan out the schedule for the remodel while everything's here. So we keep, like you said, we keep the closing down to a minimum amount of
But
time.
then Commissioner Cantrell's food truck deal could work for 2 weeks, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
And they're doing so good, and sometimes, even cheaper than what you pay over there.
The challenge with
Better
food
quality.
trucks, if anybody's ever been to like a DISD function where they're food trucks, is suddenly 300 people want to eat from 6 food trucks all at once. And food trucks aren't designed for that. So you end up having a 30-minute time period for these families to eat, and half of them can't eat because they're all standing around waiting on getting to the food truck. So if that's happening with our juries, that could be a bit of a challenge.
But that's what we're going to look into the timing, Judge, and that's what we're looking at the summer, to the winter when there's not those many trials, and, see if we can make it happen with that at least interruption as possible. So that's what we're looking into. So thank you, Mr. Martin, Mr. Bazan, and I look forward working with you on this issue. And last but not least, Ms. Blair, the judge has some concerns about item 41 on Cockrell Hill Road. Just for the record, I just want you to say why was this change, and that there's no change whatsoever in the amount of funding that Dallas County is putting as far as the percentage of 50%.
Yes, ma'am. Currently, what we did have a shortfall for the project, and COG actually put in an additional $510,000 to supplement that project. So that basically made it where we are within our 50-50 participation on the major capital improvement funds.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Thank you, Judge. That's on the record.
Just for the record, on item 51, on the investment policy, the only thing that's changed there is the maturity date on the investment from 4 to 5 years. Okay. So that's it. I just want that on the record. Okay. Call the question.
All right. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'll move.
26 reports.
I'll second.
Move it.
I just realizing, colleagues, that 26 I did mark it, and it was not my intention to that one. It was 29 and 30, so I'm going to support 26.
Very good.
Okay. So all those, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Court order 29 is before us, Judge. I move.
Let's make a comment on 29 real quick. Last time we did a presentation on TechShare Courts, we told you folks that we were going to go out and get an assessment done on the software. 29 is the cost to get that assessment done. So that's what that cost is. And then I told you I'd bring back the results of that to you. So this money is needed in order to get that assessment done.
Any further discussion or comment on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions?
I abstain.
All right. Next court order.
30.
30? So moved.
Second.
And I want to, on this one, I'll make a comment. I want to thank Mr. Victorum for getting back with me with information on this. I know Mr. Martin has worked on this as well. And it's my understanding, I just want to put this on the record, it's my understanding that this could cost up to $540,000, but it is our intention to put this out for bid and competitively bid this, and then the winner of that bid would do this month to month until such time as Texture Courts was operational. Is that correct? Okay. And this extra money will be counted towards our Texture budget, or? Okay. All right, and we expect, or we hope that our bid process will be done, and we'll be back out of an exemption in 6 months. Great. Okay. Thank you very, very much. All those any further questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? And I abstain.
Abstain.
All right. Was there something else pulled?
No.
After close.
Yeah, for close, and I do want this, end up being due about 33. I put it in my motion. It is what it is, and that's really dealing with FTZ up in Top Hill. So the numbers are what the numbers are. I do just want to say on information, I don't know how I'm going to get a chance to just voice my strenuous objections. I always have. I just don't understand. Arlington Higher Education Finance Corporation, revenue and refunding. You go everywhere. We get no information. I got everything that the DA's office sent me, which has nothing about participating, no bond, nothing. SMU refunding bond for Southwest Higher Education Authority, Inc. And I know they say file. And why do they file with us once more? Why don't they file with city?
If that's a question for us, under the tax code, the chief representative of the political subdivision, and under the tax code, that would be Judge Jenkins. Well,
there's no opportunity to object. It's just filed.
That's right.
Right. There's no vote.
Yeah, that's what I said. No opportunity to object.
Unless you wanted to attend one of the public hearings.
That's right. The tax code provides that if they do a public hearing, then that complies with the tax code.
But they don't advise us about a public hearing.
It's posted in the newspaper.
It is posted. They do provide the notice of the posting, and they do provide the affidavit that the hearing was held.
The information you sent me with Andrews and Carew?
Carew
Foundation.
It don't matter. My point is, I got this information, and I didn't see anything in regards to
Yeah,
here.
if you go page through it, towards the end will be the postings that were actually submitted in the newspaper. You, of course, don't get pre-notice. You would just get the packet as it's filed with the DA's office for the filing with the judge. Afterwards, correct. So, but there is absent you reading the Dallas Morning News classifieds to find these postings, then you're not going to find them.
The posting is done prior to the hearing. They cannot come and get approval under the tax code until after they provide the hearing and provide the affidavit establishing the notice of hearing.
Another way to, please.
Get around.
Yeah. Okay, got it. That's it.
All right, we have some public speakers. Will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our public speakers?
All Commissioner Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion of any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
And our first speaker today is Ms. Dolores Phillips.
Dolores Phillips, you do have handouts. I sent you an email on Friday, December 1st at 5:39 p.m. with 4 documents: OCR letter closing the complaint against Hampton, Illinois Library, OCR letter questionnaire against University of Texas at Dallas, also my completed answers, and the OCR dismissal letter. On Monday, yesterday, I sent an email at 1:17 p.m. with 3 documents. That was my transcripts from UTA, DCCCD, and UNT Dallas. Yesterday, I sent an email with 13 documents: OC letter, Walgreens pharmacy records from 2007 until present, CVS records, 2007 until present. The reason it's important is, first let me say 99.9% of the officers on the Brady list were set up to fail. Whenever you cover up corruption, then great officers become angry officers who will inevitably become corrupt officers if their superiors are corrupt. Please allow me to say that I didn't come here before you to make favor with you or to be friends. It's the most massive cover-up documented, and I'm going to be the one to give it back to you in peace and truth. The reason I was intentionally misdiagnosed as bipolar is to intentionally provoke or cause a mental imbalance. I am not that. Those documents prove that. Also, when I was taken to Green Oaks on October 25th, 2013, it was to intercept court documents and to obstruct justice in an ongoing cover-up. Also, this shakeup and Chief Hall, no doubt, is bona fide, qualified, and credentialed to do what needs to be done to get Dallas Police Department where it needs to be, but she has to have a team that's truly in her corner. When this shakeup took place, let me tell you why it was unfair. Whenever you have officers that should have been reprimanded, and in the shakeup some officers were demoted because some were not truly reprimanded, that means some that were demoted should have been promoted. Also, the way you distract from corruption in a cover-up is you throw out deceptively brilliant smoke screens, different agendas to have the whistleblower to succumb and to submit and conform to out of fear. Ladies, let me say this. You can't chase other sisters who's walking while you run from your own demons. I don't do females. I don't do homosexuality. And for this Me Too conspiracy, that's exactly what it is, a Me Too conspiracy. There's only a true few victims, male and female. The other ones were set up to fail by the females beyond race who do what they do here to sexually seduce to get open. And I'm going to be the one to give it back to you in peace and truth. And those documents will make sense as time comes. And it's coming. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
And thank you. And our next speaker is Mr. Robert Ciccarelli.
Good morning, everybody. I certainly hope we'll be able to talk about this after I speak. It needs to be brought up that my attention about the homeless situation here in Dallas. The information I'm giving you right now, the first copy is about Ron Stretcher. And he talks about in the first line, Dallas needs permanent supportive housing. Last sentence in the first line, we ignore the short-term needs, getting people off the street and out of the camps. Next paragraph, first line, make the short-term our priority and look at every option. Last line, the communities in paralysis over this because they're mixing the two. The two means permanent supportive housing. The next page is my interview with CBS 11 News. It talks about my desperation and me going to jail on purpose to get off the streets immediately and to save my life. I have to say very quickly, we talked about the agency, talked about the long-term solutions. My quote is in the CBS 11 News, what the City Council is doing about permanent supportive housing, it's 5 years down the road, says Ceccarelli. I can't wait for that. I'm just saying to you is I'm getting tired of ridiculous saying the same thing over and over again. Rapid rehousing needs to be priority over, can I have your attention, Mr. Jenkins, please? Over permanent supportive housing, okay? Without that, you're not going to have anything. It's going to be really ridiculous, and it's going to be just make it very hard for the homeless to even survive, and I just hope you take this into consideration again. Right now, the Hatcher station, the Hatcher encampment in October, I asked one associate from Dr. Daniel's office to take a picture of it. It's a bunch of trash over there. It's ridiculous. It's been there for weeks. I really want to put the emphasis on the Mayor Rollins right now about the commission report that came out last year. The only reason why there was a commission report is because of the deaths of the tent city. Without the deaths of the murders, there would have been no commission. We wouldn't be talking about the homeless today. And I have to directly put the responsibility on the mayor because he was a homeless czar for 5 years, mayor for 6 years. What has he done as a homeless czar? I mean, last week he even admitted to the city of Dallas is a complete failure with the homeless situation at the meeting I was with Dr. Daniel and Mr. Jenkins. And I just want to say that I am very disgusted with the mayor, and he's not going to get anything done because he's on his last year or two, and he has no intention of helping the homeless at all. That's been proven so many times. And I just want to say to you that the staff members here, the Public Defender's Office, the Director of Criminal Justice, and the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, they need to speak about what they saw at Tent City. I'm talking about the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services. He's the one at Tent City. And please, if there's any discussion about this, I would love to talk, if you have any questions to me about this. It needs to be discussed now, because 3 minutes is not enough time for me to discuss the problems. All right?
Thank you, Robert.
But please, if there's any problem, any questions, because that's ridiculous down at the Hatcher. The trash down there.
Mr. Ceccarelli, I'm sorry, but you're out of time, but thank you.
Let me know.
Our next speaker is Ms. Linda Lewis. Ms. Linda Lewis, Ms. Linda Lewis. Our next speaker is Ms. Callista Nwazu. Ms. Callista Nwazu, Ms. Callista Nwazu. No? How about William Hopkins? There you are.
Judge Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
In 1997, my son was robbed at Kimball High School. The kid that robbed him was still in the school, so I called 911 for the police to come to see how this kid robbed my son and cut him up, and he went to the hospital and got stitches. And I called 911 to try to find out how the kid was still inside the school, attending class and everything, and had robbed my son for his leather jacket and cut him up and put him in the hospital. So the white police came and took me to jail, left the kid in the school. And so I asked John, I said, John, one day he was at the school up here on 8th Street. I said, John, my son was robbed, and the kid robbed my son and cut him up, And I called 911, and the police took me to jail, John. John said, I don't believe that, William. Said, it don't sound right, or whatever he told me. He said, well, I can't do everything, William. We need more John. We need more leaders. I can't do everything, William. I said, okay, then. So I said, well, he told the right person that, so I took it on. I said, okay, I'll do it myself. Then John turned around and voted for me not to come down here but once a month to speak after I try to help everybody. Gabriel Bates, I try to help everybody. So John voted, him and Cantrell voted, him and Lee Jackson, they voted for me not to come down here every week. William, you can't come down here every week and do that. So they voted for me not to come down here every week. And I'm still trying to do the same thing, help my son and Gabriel Bates. They told Gabriel, Gabriel Bates was an 11-year-old that supposed to rape a 3-year-old in West Dallas. So they tell Gabriel, if you want to go home with your mama and you hungry? So yeah. So they took him to Burger King. They took him to McDonald's. What I'm trying to find out, Judge Jenkins, do y'all have something with McDonald's where they get special ed children out of school, take them to McDonald's and give them a burger, and then solve the case, you know, with a McDonald's thing? Do the county have something with the Henry Wade that they could, with McDonald's, with a contract with McDonald's, with a burger and fries and a soda, and y'all can solve cases down here at the county? And it's another lady told me they took her son to Burger King, no, to McDonald's. Y'all taking children to McDonald's, Judge Jenkins, and getting them burgers and fries and a Coke and solving cases. I don't know if the federal government or the FBI won't help me. Nobody won't help me. I went to the FBI. I told the FBI on West End, James Adams, Michael Lubes, I was in the FBI office. I said, Fred Byron and Bud and Russell Bud, they stealing money in West Dallas. The city sued and got the money and gave it to these lawyers. And John Wiley Price and the lawyers had us to come to the boys club, told us don't tell nobody and sneak us this money. And the city got all our money. I tell the FBI, James Adams and what?
William, you're out of time.
Oh man, I was going, man. I'll see you next month.
All right. That concludes our everything except for our closed session, which will be held momentarily to consider matters under Chapter 551 of the Government Code as previously posted. We'll come back out and we will have action on 7 in all likelihood. And any other matters that are decided or discussed in closed session that require subsequent action will take place after closed session in an open session.
Commissioner. I couldn't see Commissioner
Court is
Castro today with your copy.
back in session.
So moved.
We're back on the record, and we have one item before us, and that is court order number 7. Is there a motion on?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. You want to get those on? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. The court is adjourned.
Thank you, Ms. Terry.
So you didn't want anything else?